PhD was on marginality and women in leadership or women in management. And I could tell then that there was an issue or there was a problem. And I published that PhD, but of course it's an academic book and nobody reads them, right? Because they're so turgid. And actually Michelle's here. I remember Michelle's mum reading my thesis. She said, I really want to read your thesis. I said, no, you don't. And she said, I really want to read it. So she was reading it and I said, how's it going? And she goes, oh, it's a bit turgid, isn't it? I said, I know. They make us write like that. And I'm just checking. If you're standing in front of someone who's sitting down, just be careful. Oh. And so I said, and I always knew that I wanted to write a book about femininity, about power, and be a book that people would actually want to read. And then I started to do a little bit of research about the book, and I started to talk to some women about the book. And when I spoke to women and I interviewed them, their voices were so powerful and made me feel so much that I thought I must have those voices in the book, because it's not just my voice, it's all of our voices. And actually that's what feminine power is. Feminine power is about all of our voices. And so I really wanted to put that in the book. And so what I now have in the book, in Rising to Feminine Power, is an anthology of some sorts. When I say of some sorts, because it still has a philosophy. So there is still a philosophy in there, but there's stories and there's women's perspectives. And you might agree with some, you might not agree with others, but you know what? It's their truth. And so I just wanted to put it out there. It's raw, there's some swear words in there, and so it's all good. So I'll give you an idea of some of the people who contributed to the book. I'll get them to actually come up to the front and say some words as well before we finish up today. So thank you very much. I'm going to, as I'm speaking, if you want to grab a drink and you want to grab some water, please feel free to, because not that I'll be here for a long time, but I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Okay, so firstly, some thank yous. Then, in putting the book together, I worked through Ultimate 48 Publishing, and Julie is in the room. Come up here, Julie. And Julie is an author as well. And this is her book. She's got another one coming. So Julie has helped me through the whole journey, really being that person, that supportive person, answering all my questions and really making the whole process really easy for me, but at the same time going through a bit of a pain of it, because it took a long time. Yeah. It took a bit longer than we thought. Yeah. So, and it's still kind of going because we're dealing with printers, but that's all good. So that's part of it. So Julie was fabulous. So I want to thank you, Julie, firstly. Thank you so much for everything. Julie Fisher, look her up. She's an author as well. So thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, Josephine, to work with you and to see your book come to life. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you, Julie.
Properly. I've read it online. But I had to review it, but yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And then the next thing that happened is I was looking for a cover, and I really resonate with Linda Carter, because when I was in Tasmania, I've loved Linda Carter anyway, because ever since I'm a child of the 70s, ever since I was, yeah, exactly. There will be women in this room and girls in this room who don't know who Linda Carter is. That's Linda Carter Asher. Yes, that's Linda Carter. And and when I was at LOMO at Tasmania, there was an exhibit of Linda Carter, and I have to show you this. It was, someone had put an exhibit of the TV series, but it was on loop, and it was Linda Carter doing this. Remember that? Yes. On loop. But it made me think of all the times that we spin our wheels. We spin our wheels in terms of going from feeling empowerment to disempowerment to having a voice to not having a voice. It's this constant spin. And so I thought I must have that. And I was looking around, and then I was introduced by beautiful Elena to the beautiful Melissa, who had thought of that, who had those thoughts already many years ago. And this is an original work. This is a print of an original work by Melissa La Bozzetta. She's got a gallery in Prahran. She's a fabulous artist. Come and say hello. Yeah. Say hello. And she's got so much integrity. Elena, thank you, Elena, for introducing. I had seen Melissa's artwork in Elena's salon. Elena's got a beautiful salon with her husband in St Kilda, hair salon, Sass Hairdressing. Sass Hairdressing. Yes. And I saw that you had a print of Melissa's, and I love your work, and I followed you, and then she said, I was looking for a cover, and she said, why don't you go and talk to Melissa? And I went, oh, really? And then I looked at your backlog, and you had Linda Carr.
I did. And the amazing thing is with you, with that, the story of Linda doing that, in great prep for me, I was called Wonder Woman.
Oh!
And this little spicco here, Italian, amongst all
We're
these
both
little
Siciliani.
See, they were all Aussie kids, but I was called Wonder Woman. And I used to do the twirl in great prep.
Can you do it now?
No, you did it enough. Anyway, she was always an idol of mine. Always, that Wonder Woman was always an idol. Yeah. So that's why she was.
Oh, thank you so much, Melissa.
I'm very proud.
And the thing with Melissa is, she didn't just say yes, you can use the image. She wanted to know what the book was about. She wanted to meet me. She really wanted to make sure that our values aligned, and I love that about you.
100%.
Yeah, thank you. And then the other people I want to thank is my partners.
Woo!
Because through our process of writing a book, there are many weekends where you say, no, I can't do that, I'm writing, or, we would spend a lot of time together where I would be reviewing and reading the book out loud and reading. So, the family around you are so important, aren't they? And we're reminded of that in these moments. So thank you, the members of my family. I have the members of some of my extended family here. I have my cousins here. There's a lot of polygamy in the room. Thank you so much for being here. Lastly, I wanted to thank the contributors. There are some contributors in the room today. Could you come up? Come. There are some contributors in the book. You'll hear their stories in the book. There are also some contributors who didn't want to be named in the book. We're using some pseudonyms as well, and I respect that fully. So let's have a look. Okay, and so lovely to see. That's right. And so we have Olivia. Hey, Olivia.
Hello.
And we have Lucia.
Hello.
And we have Joe over here. And we have the lovely Sue. And we have Rachel. And we have Dina. And thank you so much to all of you for trusting me with your words. And we went through a process where I sent them some drafts, and I said, "What do you think?" And they for some people, it's a really challenging thing to have your voice on paper. So I want to thank you all. You're very courageous and brave for allowing your voice to be there, because it's a spot in time, isn't it? You might read it now and you might think, that's actually not where I am today, because it was 12 months ago. So thank you for trusting me. Voices, with your voice and your stories, because stories, I think no matter when we share them, they always resonate with other people, and people really get their own insights. So thank you, everybody. And I asked these women if they wanted to say a few words. So I just want to give you an opportunity to say a few words. So who'd like to go?
I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say thank you so much, Josie, for the opportunity to participate in both the book and the retreat. And I found both of them such impactful learning experiences. And what I really love about the work that you do is I think it really shines a light on how we can identify our unique strengths as women, and actually how we can play into them, and they can be powerful for us. I think things like collaboration and interpersonal sensitivity and traits that may have previously been seen as weak or softer we can actually see how we can use them as a strength. So thank you for that, Josie.
So I love Josie a lot. She is always smiling, isn't she?
Yes.
Always positive, and she's been my mentor for the last 4 years, and I just can't thank her enough for, just being this amazing example of a beautiful woman who nurtures other women. She does so much with the belly dancing. She creates these containers, and women come in, and because she's always in her feminine power, she brings them in and nurtures them. So I worked with Josie at High Spaces, and she really nurtured me and helped me in my business. I grew up with a family that wasn't very supportive, so Josie really took me in and really helped me to find my power in my business and my voice, and through that I'm now creating my own women's events as well. So
Amazing.
Jo wasn't sure she wanted to do it.
I can say a few words. Firstly, very grateful to be here and to see this come to life. Women in leadership and the journey to there, sharing those career stories, that's pretty much what I do as part of my vocation. So when Josephine asked, would you like to contribute, it was a no-brainer really. So through the stories of others, we can inspire others for the future generations, and that's pretty much ultimately what we're doing here today.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Jo.
I think the reason I was inspired to help you in your journey is because I've worked in a lot of organisations with a lot of male energy and found myself very crushed. And so it's really great to be sort of finding that feminine power and actually saying, the strengths I bring are actually strengths. They're nothing, they're not to be ashamed of. And we actually, now they are really coming to the fore. Organisations are finally seeing the light and saying, we need this stuff.
Shit, we do. Sue and I work together for Just & Co. We've got the two founders of Just & Co, Jo and Stella, in the room. Heads up to Jo and Stella. And what a fantastic example of a female-led organisation that really lives those values and really supports the women in the organisation and the men as well to really live through our strengths.
And that's sort of inspired me to join them.
Yes.
Well, there's so much I'd love to say, but it's your day. But I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity, because I think what you're doing is amazing. You're bringing women's stories to the forefront, and I think women need to share their stories, because often we are taking on a lot of things ourselves and we don't realise that we are being so powerful and strong in dealing with all the things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And I think it's really important to get those stories out there, and congratulations on doing that. And I think it's only the start of even greater things, especially for women.
Edith just come back from Japan, and she said that her brain's a bit strong.
I can manage a few words.
All right.
No, honestly, so Josie was my university lecturer a long time ago. Shout out to lots of alumni in the back. And amongst what was, a white male middle-aged academia, she was just incredible. Hugely influential, I think, in our journey into organisational psychology. So I just couldn't pass the opportunity to contribute, and I have lots to say about women who I adore. So thank you, Josie.
Oh, couldn't make it today, but thank you for making it today and being here. So thank you so much, everybody. All amazing women, all amazing women. And can I say that there are, all of the women are women who are just doing incredible things in their own lives. And in the book, we've got women who are very early in their journeys, in their careers, in their journeys, to women at the later part of their journey and career. So it's really interesting to get those thoughts. Now, I actually have I did a presentation, a 5-minute presentation for a really cool conference called Disrupt HR, but I've changed my mind. I don't really want to do that anymore because we just had this beautiful kind of intimate moment here. So instead, how about I just read some things from the book and then we can just have a drink. Yes. And more photos. Okay, all right. I'm nothing but adaptable. All right, so, let me see, okay. So I wanted to read you a story by beautiful Beulah. Beulah couldn't make it today. She's actually living in Coffs Harbour now. So there's a bit of a context and then I'll go into her story because I really love her story. As a woman living and acting in the world, we are all confronted by the social systems that either constrain us or help us flourish. There are barriers we face from people who want to or do have power over us, people we have power over, and people we share power with. Along the way, we gain and lose power or struggle to maintain and keep it. Power is relational. It's an attribute of our relationship with other people, and it shifts and changes according to the status of our relationships and the conditions in our environment. What I learned about power in my younger years did not set me up well to navigate the world. I had to overcome parts of my story to do that successfully, which I'll share more of throughout this book, not today. In writing this book, I was interested in how other women have learned about power as they journey through their lives. The different beliefs about power and why some women differ in their beliefs struck me. The stories in this chapter explore when women discovered their power base and the forces at play that created different beliefs. Now this is called Beulah Meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I met Beulah many years ago when she and her soon-to-be husband were performing world music in a band called Jadida. Some of you have watched us perform. Beulah has a beautiful voice and her daughter has followed in her parents' creative footsteps. Now in her 40s, Beulah is a senior manager in an employee psychological assistance practice after having completed a PhD in psychology. Many years before all that, Beulah was raised in a patriarchal Sri Lankan Indian family. Losing both her parents at a very early age forced her to make some life-changing decisions. And these are Beulah's words. In Sri Lankan Indian culture, the males are the one who are cherished, valued members of the family, and the women are the servants. Essentially, you do things to help the men feel better about themselves. Yes, you give up things for the men. Women create power by seeming powerless, when in fact they are the hidden matriarchs of the family who do have decision-making powers. For most women in my family, that sense of powerlessness just crushed them. It became an environment where people scrambled for power and held it over other people without necessarily being conscious of it all the time. It was not uncommon for the sons and fathers to take advantage of that dynamic to get what they wanted when they wanted things. As a young child in Singapore, where I grew up, I had no power. I think children don't tend to have any power. The adults are the ones with power in that relationship. But another layer on top of that was the unhealthiness going on around me. I was powerless in a horrible situation, which got worse after both my parents died, and there was no exit. So I learned how to become invisible and hide and be the person who made the peace with everybody. I was that person who soothed things over and made things easier for everybody because I wasn't really respected or acknowledged as a person of value. I learned to hide in the shadows, and that created a lot of problems down the track for me in some ways. As a teenager, of course, you do push and pull a lot, and there was some of that happening. It got to the stage where I had to make the decision to leave Singapore and start off on my own without my extended family. that was probably the first step for me to come into my own power, by removing myself at that age and fight for the chance to extract myself from that situation and start anew. My first memory of power, and this is funny, was when I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is a TV series that aired from 1997 to 2003. Buffy is this tiny blonde girl who beats the crap out of bad vampires. When I saw that, I was a bit gobsmacked that a woman could be that strong. I'm still a fan of Buffy. That was really one of the first times I thought maybe I could actually beat the crap out of the stuff I've experienced. Seeing a female character be that way opened my eyes. I had no clue that I had power at all. I struggled so much with my internal self-talk because I was not there yet. But that did start raising the veil from my eyes. Maybe life could be different as a woman in work and in my personal life. There's one more story I want to share, and this is again from someone called Gwen, who again is not here, she's in Hong Kong actually. And but Gwen has had a really interesting journey, and I think her story goes to what we can do about this situation. What are some things that we can all do as women, as non-conforming men, when we think about the environments that we're in that have the specific design faults? And the design fault is that the environments that we're in overvalue masculinity and undervalue femininity. And I'm talking about psychological masculinity and femininity there. So this is Gwen, why it is not okay. We need more men to be curious about their impact on inclusion. We need to be compassionate with ourselves and others as we work through these impacts and learn to do it better. We don't have all the answers, and we don't want to shut down the dialogue about sexual harassment and sexism. So instead, let's talk about it, ask questions, and be curious and a little brave. Gwen's experience with one of her male colleagues is a testimony to how we can stay connected to this dialogue in a real way. And these are Gwen's words. There was 4 of us in a meeting, my boss, a male junior manager, and a female senior manager. The female senior manager and I worked on a lot of other women's initiatives together and have talked about how we can make an impact in our working environment. My boss asked the manager to do something he didn't want to do because the client was quite challenging. My boss said to him, "Just grow some balls." At this stage, I was still very much a people pleaser. I tended to let a lot of these things wash over me, and I didn't react fast enough. My friend, however, reacted quickly to these things, and she called out our boss. He asked, "What did I do? What did I do?" She glared at him and said, "That is not okay. It is not appropriate." My boss stood up and walked off, still perplexed as to why she was offended. The male manager then turned to us and asked, "Why is it not okay? What happened? Why is that wrong?" That was the first time I saw a man inquiring about something like this rather than brushing it off. He went on to say, "I hear this. We say this a lot amongst us guys. Nobody ever bats an eyelid. So why is this not okay?" That was the first time I sat down and had this kind of conversation. We talked it through. That was the first time I saw a man pause and lean into it. So thank you very much. I'd like to, if you haven't had a photo with me, we're going to set the camera up again. I'll do some book signing in the back of the room too, and I'm just going to put some music on to kind of get us there. And for those of you that don't know, this is Shaka Khan.